I thought my death was a bit namby-pamby. I'm supposed to be a master Jedi, you know.
Liam Neeson has been married once in his life. But 16 years after losing his wife, he still sets a place for her at dinner. In 2009, a simple fall on a beginner's ski slope changed everything. At first, nobody was worried. Then came the headache. What happened next shocked Hollywood and left Neeson doing something most people never knew about. He spent years visiting her grave late at night, talking to someone who wasn't there. And the darkest part? He admitted he drank himself numb every single night for years. Today, we're uncovering why Liam Neeson can't move on. Liam Neeson was born on June 7, 1952, in Ballymena, County Antrim, a small town where lines were already drawn long before he could understand them. He was the third of 4 children, raised in a Catholic family in a place where being Catholic often meant being watched, judged, and quietly pushed aside. His father Bernard worked as a school caretaker. His mother Catherine cooked for a living. Money was tight, life was simple, and tension sat in the air even on calm days. Growing up, Liam felt like an outsider without fully knowing why. Later, he would describe it as feeling like a second-class citizen. The streets around him carried fear, suspicion, and silence, especially as the troubles began to shape daily life. Those early years taught him how to listen, how to observe, and how to carry weight without showing it. As he grew older, the world around him became louder and more dangerous. Violence was not something on the news. It was something you felt walking down the road. Still, he focused on school and stayed close to family. His parents pushed values over comfort, dignity over noise. That balance stayed with him. Then everything shifted on January 30th, 1972. Liam was a student at Queen's University Belfast when British soldiers killed 13 unarmed civil rights protesters in Derry. Bloody Sunday hit him hard. He saw the aftermath. He felt the anger. Lecture halls emptied. Conversations stopped. He later admitted he had not understood much about the politics before that day, but after it, there was no going back. The shock sat deep. Years later, he said violence and its effects were part of his DNA. It was not something he chose. It was something that entered him and stayed. Before acting ever felt possible, boxing gave him direction. He started at age 9 at the All Saints Youth Club in Ballymena. The ring became a place to release pressure, fear, and anger. By 16, he had won 3 Northern Ireland juvenile titles and finished as an Irish runner-up multiple times. He fought around 40 amateur bouts and won roughly 30 of them. He learned timing, control, when to step forward and when to hold back. Boxing kept him out of trouble in a divided place where trouble was easy to find. Then, at 17, one brutal knockout ended it. The physical damage healed. The emotional mark stayed. Even so, he later said boxing gave him discipline and helped him survive his surroundings. After leaving Queen's University, where he briefly studied physics and computer science, his life became uncertain again. He worked wherever work appeared. He drove trucks. He operated a forklift at Guinness. He assisted architects. He taught at a local school. These jobs grounded him. They showed him real lives and real struggles. Somewhere in that stretch, acting quietly pulled him in. In 1976, after teacher training, he joined the Lyric Players Theatre in Belfast. The stage felt different. It felt right. His first film credit came when he played Jesus in Pilgrim's Progress. From there, he moved to Dublin, taking on work like the Troubles-themed play Says I, Says He. Step by step, he committed fully. Still, success did not rush in. For years, he worked hard with little reward. Then, in 1980, he played Lenny in Of Mice and Men on stage. The performance was raw and physical. It caught attention. One person watching was director John Boorman. A year later, Boorman took a gamble and cast him as Sir Gawain in Excalibur. Liam was 29 at the time, earning just $500 a week as a stage actor in London. The film was shot in Ireland under harsh conditions. He slept in a freezing caravan. He rehearsed battle scenes with real swords. Meals were simple, often just porridge and whiskey. The budget was only $11 million. Still, the film earned $35 million worldwide and became a cult hit. It launched him. During that time, he and Helen Mirren began a 4-year relationship. She helped him get his first Hollywood agent. Yet even with momentum, fear followed him. He worried about being boxed in as the strong, silent type. At one point, he almost quit acting altogether. Then came The Bounty in 1984. Filmed in Tahiti, the production was intense. Storms capsized boats. Crew members fell ill. The heat was relentless. Liam played mutineer Charles Churchill, alongside Mel Gibson, Anthony Hopkins, and Daniel Day-Lewis. The film cost $14 million and earned $14.5 million. Not a hit, but not a failure either. Afterward, he returned to London, still unsure of where his career was heading. In 1986, he finally moved to Hollywood. Small roles followed, including a guest appearance on Miami Vice. Nothing felt secure yet. Everything changed in 1987 with Suspect. Liam played Carl, a mute homeless man accused of murder. He spoke no lines. Every emotion came through his face and body. The film cost $14.5 million and earned $18.8 million. Critics noticed. They called his performance powerful and haunting. Audiences responded too. It proved he could carry weight without noise. In 1992, Broadway became another turning point. He starred in Anna Christie opposite Natasha Richardson. He earned just $500 a week, barely enough for rent in New York. Still, the chemistry was undeniable. The production earned 5 Tony nominations and 1 Best Revival. It ran for 54 performances. During this time, Liam and Natasha fell in love. Their connection moved quietly but deeply. That same year, Steven Spielberg saw him on stage. Spielberg was casting Schindler's List and wanted someone whose fame would not overpower the role. He chose Liam. Bigger names had been considered. Liam read the book and saw Schindler as flawed, underestimated, almost careless. He leaned into that. For the role, he lost around 30 pounds and learned Hebrew and Yiddish. The film was released in 1993. It earned over $322 million worldwide. It won Best Picture. Liam earned an Oscar nomination. His life changed completely. After that, momentum never stopped. In 1993, he earned a Tony nomination for Anna Christie. In 1994, he married Natasha Richardson on July 3rd after winning a $50,000 libel suit against the Daily Mirror. He donated the money to victims of the Omagh bombing. In 1995, Rob Roy followed. The film earned $31.6 million on a $28 million budget. Critics praised his calm strength. That same year, his son, Mikial, was born. Daniel followed in 1996. Then came Michael Collins in 1996. The film premiered in Venice and won the Golden Lion. Liam won the Volpe Cup for Best Actor. His performance was fierce and alive. It became one of the most important roles of his career. By then, the outsider kid from Ballymena had become a global force. In 1993, Liam Neeson walked onto a Broadway stage in New York for the revival of Anna Christie, and that is where he met Natasha Richardson. It did not feel like a normal co-star connection. Neeson later described the chemistry as Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Every night felt like a beautiful dance on stage. Richardson was still married to Robert Fox at the time, yet the pull was already there, and she later admitted it plainly by saying, "I fell deeply in love with him." Their relationship moved fast in public too, because their first public appearance together came at the Tony Awards in June 1993, where both were nominated. Then, on July 3, 1994, they married in Millbrook, New York. And soon they welcomed 2 sons. And from the outside it looked like a sudden fairy tale, even as they kept working through intense roles and long schedules. So when 1998 arrived, Neeson stepped into Jean Valjean in Billy August's serious, non-musical Les Miserables, with Geoffrey Rush as Javert and Uma Thurman as Fantine. The film ran 2 hours and 14 minutes, earned a 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb, and leaned hard into drama instead of songs. Neeson played Valjean as a man changed by mercy, the kind of man who can become a beloved mayor while still carrying his old name like a scar. And Rush's Javert would not let that scar fade, chasing him again and again, turning it into a rivalry that drives the whole story in post-revolution France. Thurman's Fantine is a desperate mother forced into prostitution, and when Cosette appears, played by Claire Danes, Neeson's character promises to protect her, and that promise becomes the emotional spine that keeps the plot breathing. Critics singled out Neeson for physical authority and decency, and the praise hit harder because he was surrounded by Oscar winners and rising stars, yet he still stood out. And then, in October 1998, the private life collided with headlines. Neeson and Richardson won $50,000, about $85,000 at the time, in a libel case against the Daily Mirror after it falsely claimed their marriage was in trouble. Instead of keeping the money, they donated the entire $50,000 to the fund set up for victims of the Omagh bombing, a terrorist attack in Northern Ireland that killed 29 people in August 1998. It turned a nasty rumor into something useful, and the BBC noted their character and compassion in a moment when many people were still shaken. Right after that heavy stretch, Neeson's career shifted again, and it shifted loudly. On May 19, 1999, he entered Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace as Qui-Gon Jinn, the calm Jedi Master with the steady voice and the quiet confidence. The movie had a $115 million budget, opened with $64.8 million in its first weekend in the United States, and finished with $1.46 billion worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing film of 1999, even with mixed reviews. George Lucas called him a master actor others look up to, and Neeson earned a Saturn Award nomination for Best Actor. Fans latched onto the calm wisdom, and they especially held onto the fight scenes, with the duel against Darth Maul becoming the moment people replayed in their heads. And even after the reception stayed complicated, his presence did not vanish, because his voice returned later in the Clone Wars and in The Rise of Skywalker, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi in 2022 kept the thread alive. After the galaxy, he went somewhere even stranger, but in a different way. In 2001, he narrated Journey into Amazing Caves, a giant screen documentary directed by Stephen Judson that ran 39 minutes and used music by the Moody Blues. It became the highest-grossing giant screen documentary of that year, and it won a Film Achievement Award for Best Sound in 2002. The story followed extreme cavers Dr. Hazel Barton and Nancy Allenbach through ice caves in Greenland, underwater caves in the Yucatan, and earth caves in the Little Grand Canyon. And Neeson's narration guided viewers through narrow passages, flooded vaults, and blue ice labyrinths, while underlining the risks that come with trying to map the most hostile places on Earth. The project was funded by the National Science Foundation and the Endeavors Group, which gave it a serious weight, like science wearing a movie screen. Still, the most shocking turn came later, because Neeson did not stay in one lane. Between 2006 and 2008, he kept proving how far he could stretch. In Seraphim Falls in 2006, he played Colonel Morsman Carver, a Civil War veteran chasing Pierce Brosnan's Gideon across the harsh American West. and Neeson described the character as like Captain Ahab from Moby Dick, obsessed with revenge. Then he voiced Aslan in The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian in 2008, and even with limited screen time, the voice carried a heavy presence. Around the same period, he took the lead in Chloe in 2008 and leaned into obsession and deception, and he also voiced James in Fallout 3 in 2008, with director Todd Howard saying the character was written for Liam because of that gravitas that makes even simple lines feel serious. Then 2008 arrived, and nobody expected what happened next. Liam Neeson was 56 when Taken flipped his public image and turned him into a full-action star. The budget was $25 million, yet it exploded into $226.8 million worldwide, with $145 million in North America alone. In January 2009, its opening weekend pulled in $24.7 million, topping the charts and becoming the best opening for a Super Bowl weekend at the time. Critics were mixed, but audiences locked in on the grit, and the line, "I will find you and I will kill you," became something people repeated like a warning. The success did not stop at one film, because Taken 2 in 2012 made $376 million globally, and Taken 3 in 2014 made $326 million. Neeson even joked that the movie put people off going to Europe, and it sounded funny, but it also showed how deeply the film had entered pop culture. With that new identity in place, he kept building the brand, but he did it in a way that still let him experiment. Starting in 2011, he teamed up with director Jaume Collet Serra and stayed busy. Unknown in 2011 set him up as a man fighting amnesia in Berlin. The Grey in 2011 stood out even more because it was raw survival, with Neeson fighting to stay alive against wolves in the Alaskan wilderness, and critics praised the brutal realism. Then Non-Stop in 2014 earned $222.8 million worldwide on a $50 million budget, with Neeson playing an air marshal facing a mid-air threat. Run All Night in 2015 followed, with $71.6 million in gross, and it earned an A-grade cinema score, which is rare for that kind of dark action story. The Commuter in 2018 made $119.9 million and proved he could still draw crowds as a regular man trapped in a conspiracy. And in the middle of all that, he still jumped into huge franchises and strange cameos because he did not seem afraid of switching tones. In 2010, he played Zeus in Clash of the Titans, a remake that grossed $475 million worldwide, and he also played Hannibal in the A-Team that year, and returned as Aslan in Voyage of Dawn Treader. Then there was a role he did not take, and that decision said a lot too, because he turned down the lead in Lincoln in 2012 and explained that he felt he was past sell date for a role like that. At the same time, he showed up on BBC Two in Life's Too Short from 2011 to 2013, playing a blunt version of himself alongside Warwick Davis, and it reminded people that he could be serious, but he could also be oddly funny when he wanted. That pop culture side only grew. In 2014, he voiced Bad Cop and Good Cop in the Lego Movie, and the film made over $468 million worldwide, with his dual personality character becoming a favorite for many viewers. Then, in 2015, he leaned into the joke fully with a Super Bowl ad for Clash of Clans, and he delivered the line, "I have taken your village, and I will keep on taking it," and it went viral. The ad was rated the #1 Super Bowl commercial that year, and major sites like Billboard called it A+, which showed how easily he could step out of the intense roles and still dominate the room with just his voice. But while the public watched the career climb, something devastating was waiting in 2009. On March 16, 2009, Natasha Richardson was skiing on the Nansen Beginners Slope at Mont Tremblant in Quebec when she fell and hit her head. At first, it did not look serious. She showed no obvious injuries, and later she returned to her hotel. Then the headache came, and it got worse. She was rushed to Hôpital Laurentien, then airlifted to Sacré-Cœur in Montreal, where doctors diagnosed an epidural hematoma, internal bleeding in the brain that can turn deadly fast. Neeson was filming in Toronto and flew to Montreal immediately, but she passed away on March 18th at age 45. Her family honored her wish not to be kept on life support, and she donated her organs, saving other lives, and the shock for many people came from the cruel detail that it looked minor at first. After that, Neeson kept working, but the grief followed him everywhere. For several years, he drank 2 or 3 bottles of wine each night, and he eventually quit in 2014. He avoided social events, became a workaholic, and spent hours at his wife's grave in silence, like he was trying to keep a conversation going without words. He later said, "Grief is like a shadow. It hits you in the middle of the night when you expect her to walk through the door." He also said, "Time doesn't heal. It teaches you how to carry it." Over time, the relationship with his sons shifted too, and the filming of Made in Italy in 2020 helped them reconnect in a new way, not by erasing what happened, but by learning how to live around it. By the late 2010s, Liam Neeson had settled into a strange and unexpected chapter of his career. He was no longer the young dramatic actor people first knew, yet he was somehow busier than ever. In 2019, Cold Pursuit arrived in theaters and opened with $11 million in the United States, eventually pulling in $76 million worldwide. There was noise around it, not just about the film, but about comments Neeson had made in interviews. Yet the audience still showed up. That same year, he stepped into Men in Black International as a high-level agent. It did not reach the heights of earlier films in the series and made about $80 million in the US, but it proved he was still willing to jump between franchises. At the same time, he quietly revealed another side of himself in Ordinary Love, a small drama that premiered at Sundance and focused on marriage, illness, and patience. Critics responded warmly, and it reminded people that beneath the action persona, the dramatic core was still there. That balance kept going. In 2021, The Ice Road landed on Netflix and quickly climbed to #1 on the platform. Reviews were mixed, but viewers embraced the familiar formula of Neeson facing danger with quiet resolve. The story continued in 2025 with Ice Road Vengeance, set high in the Himalayas and featuring Fan Bingbing. Critics were harsh this time, with Rotten Tomatoes landing at 17%, one of the lowest scores of his career. Still, fans tuned in. That pattern followed him again in 2022 with Marlowe, where he played the legendary detective Philip Marlowe. The film cost over $22 million to make and earned only $6.3 million worldwide. Many critics called it miscast and flat, yet even here, Neeson kept moving forward. Film after film, hit or miss, he stayed present. Alongside the work came recognition. In 2000, he was appointed Officer of the Order of the British Empire for his services to drama. In 2008, the American Ireland Fund honored him for his contribution to the performing arts. Queen's University Belfast awarded him an honorary doctorate in 2009 during a ceremony in New York. In 2016, the Irish Film and Television Academy presented him with the Outstanding Contribution to Cinema Award in Dublin, handed to him by President Michael D. Higgins. 2 years later, the same president honored him again with the Distinguished Service for the Irish Abroad Award, recognizing not just his career, but his humanitarian efforts. These moments reflected how deeply he remained tied to Ireland, even while living much of his life elsewhere. He never stayed silent either. Neeson spoke openly about gun control, calling U.S. gun laws disgraceful after the Charlie Hebdo attacks in 2015. He supported banning prop guns on film sets after multiple on-set tragedies. In 2016, he opposed Brexit, worried it could damage the fragile peace in Northern Ireland. A year later, he compared the political climate in the United States to Watergate and urged accountability. These comments earned him respect from some and criticism from others, but he continued to speak when he felt something mattered. At the same time, life kept delivering personal blows. In June 2020, his mother Kitty died at age 94, just one day before his birthday. Because of strict COVID restrictions, Liam and his sons could not travel to Ballymena for the funeral. He watched it from New York on a screen. Friends described him as devastated. Locals still gathered to honor Kitty's life, but for Liam, the isolation cut deep. He later said it was the loneliest he had ever felt. Even in grief, he stayed connected to audiences in unexpected ways. In 2022, he appeared in Derry Girls as a stern police chief, and fans loved the contrast between his serious presence and the show's humor. He later popped up in Atlanta, playing a self-aware version of himself and poking fun at his own image. These roles showed a man willing to laugh at his reputation while still carrying real weight behind the eyes. Controversy, however, never fully left him. In 2018, during an appearance on Ireland's Late Late Show, he called the Me Too movement a bit of a witch hunt and cited cases he felt showed overreaction. The backlash was immediate. Many felt he was minimizing survivors' experiences. Neeson later clarified that he never meant to undermine victims, but the damage lingered. Then, in 2019, while promoting Cold Pursuit, he revealed a painful and disturbing memory from nearly 40 years earlier. After a close friend was raped, he said he spent a week roaming the streets with a weapon, hoping a black man would confront him so he could release his rage. He spoke about it as a moment of shame and regret, something he shared as a lesson about racism and unchecked anger. The reaction was swift. The film's red carpet was canceled. Some defended him for his honesty, others condemned the revelation. It became another heavy layer in a life already marked by loss. Old wounds from home resurfaced too. In 2000, his hometown of Ballymena offered him the freedom of the borough, then withdrew it after controversy over remarks he had made about Catholics being treated as second-class citizens. Years later, in 2013, the town reconsidered and honored him, acknowledging both his achievements and his evolving views. By 2017, he was openly supporting campaigns against segregated schools, showing a clear shift toward reconciliation and inclusion. There were quieter changes as well. Neeson had been a heavy smoker for decades, but quit in 2003 after Love Actually. Health concerns and encouragement from his wife pushed him to stop. Later roles required fake cigars, and he joked about how strange that felt. While filming in Istanbul, he even spoke about finding peace in the sound of the adhan, moments that helped him adjust to life after cigarettes. He also took firm public stands. In 2014, he wrote an op-ed defending New York City carriage horses when the mayor proposed banning them. Animal rights activists pushed back, but Neeson argued the horses were well cared for and part of the city's history. In Ireland, he supported Amnesty International's abortion rights campaign, appearing in a video that sparked both praise and outrage. He never seemed bothered by the mixed reactions. Through all of it, one loss defined him more than any headline. On March 18, 2009, his wife Natasha Richardson died from an epidural hematoma after a ski accident. More than 15 years later, Neeson still speaks about expecting her to walk through the door. He has described grief as waves that arrive in the middle of the night. After her death, he struggled with depression and alcohol, and said work became his only way forward. He honored their organ donation pact, allowing her heart, kidneys, and liver to save 3 lives. He later called grief the shadow you carry, something that never fully leaves. That pain shaped his relationship with his sons. Michiel Richardson, his eldest, became a painter and actor. In 2020, father and son starred together in Made in Italy, a story about repairing a family home after loss. The experience helped heal a rift between them. Michael later said he was starting to see his father not just as a parent, but as a close friend. Daniel, the younger son, pursued music and studied theater at Tulane University. Both carried their mother's memory forward, and Neeson often says he hopes Natasha would be proud. Even as he aged, he refused to slow down. His voice anchored the 2016 documentary 1916: The Irish Rebellion. He portrayed Mark Felt in 2017, stepping into the history of Watergate. In 2024, he appeared in Wildcat, exploring the life of writer Flannery O'Connor. Action films, dramas, comedies, documentaries. He kept crossing lines. Money followed the momentum. Taken in 2008 paid him $1 million. By Taken 2 in 2012, that jumped to $15 million. Taken 3 in 2014 earned him $20 million, the same amount he made for Nonstop that year. From just those films alone, he earned $55 million. With more than 100 films to his name and voice work like Optimus Prime in Transformers, his career earnings are estimated around $120 million by 2025. Awards continued to stack up. He won the Volpe Cup at Venice for Michael Collins in 1996. He received 2 Tony nominations, one for Anna Christie in 1993 and another for The Crucible in 2002. He earned Golden Globe nominations for Schindler's List and Kinsey, along with BAFTA and Oscar recognition. Many now call him Ireland's greatest film actor, not because of one role, but because of the weight he brings to all of them. By 2025, Neeson made it clear another chapter was ending. At 73, he announced he would step away from action films by the end of the year. He said he no longer wanted to rely on stunt doubles and felt audiences could see the difference. His final major action lead is expected to be Absolution, set for release in 2025. The decision marked the close of an era that began unexpectedly with Taken in 2008 and reshaped how aging actors were seen on screen. Yet even as he steps back, he is not retreating. In 2025, he surprises audiences again with The Naked Gun, leaning fully into comedy alongside Pamela Anderson and Danny Huston. Playing Frank Drebin Jr., he mocks his own intensity and proves he is still willing to take risks. Side by side with Ice Road Vengeance, the film shows a man unafraid to bend his legacy rather than freeze it.